Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Latina Marie. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you are returning to my channel, thank you so much for the support. I truly do appreciate it. In today's video, I just want to chit chat with you guys about something. I was going through all the comments on my channel and I noticed a lot of questions that I had not answered, mostly geared towards Vegas, and one specific question stood out to me. Sorry, I can't think straight. One question in particular that stood out to me was, why did I leave Vegas? So I just want to talk about that really quick and give you all the tea, the information, the raw, honest answer of why my husband and I decided to move our family back to Michigan. So if you guys are interested in hearing about why I chose to leave Vegas and come back to this Michigan, then keep on watching. So I lived in Vegas. If you are new to my channel, I lived in Vegas for 3 years. I really just got up one day and left. My husband and I had been talking about moving out of the state. We weren't sure exactly where we wanted to go. This is a little recap, just a small little recap. We weren't sure where we wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to be close to California, but I knew I didn't want to live in California for the simple fact that I knew we weren't going to be able to afford it no matter what our situation was, just because California is super expensive. So we settled on, well, not settled, but we decided on Las Vegas, and our initial plan was to leave in September of the year that we left, but we ended up leaving in May, and it was really kind of like abrupt. We left with under $1,000 in our pocket, and we had a struggle, but we did it. We moved from Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan to Vegas, and although we had some struggles, we made it. You know, we were doing really well out there and everything was fine. So our last year out there, our kids finished school, and my husband and I for a couple months have been talking about sending our kids back to Michigan for the summer so that we could figure out some things financially and with our relationship. Just a lot of things that our family had been kind of up in the air and all over the place. So we had put it in our heads that we wanted to send them with family for a couple months just so that we could try to make things happen, you know, try to change the course of where things were happening for us. Financially, we were falling a bit, and I'll be completely honest, we were falling a bit. I had currently started working at the time that, I say currently as if it's happening right now. I had started working at the time that we sent our kids away. So financially, we were struggling, but we were coming back up. So if you have been following me and if you have been watching the Las Vegas videos, you know that my husband was working for our apartment complex that we were living in for about 18 to 19 months, a good year and a half. And then we ended up moving. I don't know if I ever spoke about it, but we ended up moving off that property into a different apartment. So we had been staying in weeklies for pretty much the whole time that we were there. So this last move that we had made before we moved back here was into an actual apartment. So we had to do a deposit, we had to get approved, all of that. We went through that whole process. So just really quick, because I can do another video on that if people are interested, but really quick, the way that we had to go through everything, we applied for 2 different apartments, and I don't know if this is nationwide, but there's a website that you can sign in to, and it'll kind of give you the status of where your application is. And so with the first apartment, we saw that we had got denied, and then we applied for another one, and I think it was simply because of income. My husband at the time had been the only one with proof of income. So with that, there was nothing we could do. My checks hadn't come yet, so I clearly hadn't been working at the job long enough. You clearly had to be working somewhere for, I think, like 30 days at the very least. So that was that process with that. But then we got approved for the second apartment and we moved in. So our rent went up when did it go up? I think it went up like $10 to $20 on what we had been paying a month when you add in all the weeks that we had been paying for the weekly. When you do the monthly, I think it ended up being like $20 a month that we were paying for this one place and for this place that we moved into. And everything was fine, but now we're looking at paying utilities because, you know, when you're in an apartment, you take care of that stuff yourself. So things did get really tight for us, and that's not the reason that we left, but it did contribute to our decision and thinking that that was going to be the best decision for us. So by this time, our food stamps got cut because my husband had a new job that was making like $3 or $4 more than what he had been making, but they didn't account for the fact that now we were paying more rent, so it didn't kind of equal out. I don't know if maybe when you're on assistance for a while, they kind of look at it like, you know, you're doing okay, maybe you'll be fine, because we hadn't even had the chance to report my job to assistance to the state yet. So I don't really know how that works. I know when my husband was working for our apartment complex, he had got a 50-cent raise and they cut us like $300 a month. And I don't understand how 50 cents equated to $300, but that's a whole nother story within itself, I guess. So financially, things were becoming a struggle. And so I don't know if I actually mentioned it, but we did get our kids out. My sister came and picked up my kids and drove them back to Michigan. She was already on her way to California to get another niece of hers. So she said it was okay. She was fine with getting my boys and taking them back to Michigan as well. And we hadn't really worked out whether we were going to go get them and bring them home or if she was going to bring them back to us. So with that up in the air, you know, we had to kind of figure out what we were going to do with all of that. What was the decision going to be? So that became a stressful thing because now it's like finances are already tight. Can we afford to drive all the way out there and drive all the way back? Like, what are we going to do? So then my kids are out there, they're calling me and they're calling home and saying that they don't want to come back. They want to stay in Michigan. So that was really the push, the final push that said, we're not going to go back out there. But due to all of that, and I'm going to get very candid, very honest, and very transparent, my husband went into a depression for months and I didn't know what to do for him. Like, I didn't know how to help. I didn't know how to make things better. He was drinking a lot more than he normally had been. He just, didn't want to communicate. Like, things just really got bad because of our finances getting tight and us feeling like we weren't doing our best anymore. We had gone at this point 2.5 to 3 years doing so well, and we were up and we were on a high, and things were so great that he wasn't expecting the fall to hit so hard. He ended up losing his job at the complex. I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but he ended up losing his job at the complex, which really is what put him into that depression because of some decisions that he made. And I can't talk about that because that's really not my information. That's his information. If he wants to come onto this channel and talk about it, or if he wants to go on our channel and talk about it, that's up to him. I'm not going to pressure him. Maybe you guys can pressure him by commenting. I think it would be good for him to talk about. I think it would be good for people to know that these kind of things can happen to you, and that when you decide to get up and move and you decide to do things in your life and make big changes like that, that you have to understand that it can affect you mentally and emotionally, and you have to be prepared for that. And he wasn't really prepared for that. Something that I've never mentioned in any of my Las Vegas videos is the fact that when we first arrived to Vegas, we I said that I had made a deposit or a security deposit for the hotel that we were going to stay in before we found out about weeklies. But when we got there, they didn't accept my credit card or my prepaid card. So they ended up refunding me the money, but we couldn't stay there because of unable to make the payments due to how we were going to make the payments. They didn't take cash or anything like that. So we had to find somewhere else to go. And that really freaked him out. That really made him feel like we were making a big mistake. Like to him, it was a sign that things weren't going to go right. And this wasn't a good decision for us to have made for our family, especially being like, if it was just me and him, he wouldn't have reacted that way. He wouldn't have been so choked by it. But it's just the fact that we had 4 kids. And, I thought about that too. My upbringing was a lot different than my husband's. I traveled a lot growing up, and things happened when we traveled. We got stranded places. We ended up having to stay places longer than we intended because of whatever kind of situation we were in. So as a child, I grew up seeing that anything can happen, and whether you're prepared for it or not, you just mentally have to be prepared for it. And so I've always been that type of person, but my husband didn't grow up that way. So I had to nurture him and tell him that it's okay that things don't work out perfectly the way we want them to. But the next morning he ended up with a job, and from there, everything really was on an up for us. And so when he lost his job at the apartment complex, whether he liked the job or not, it really made him feel like we were on a down. And we weren't really on a down because he immediately found another job, but he felt like now everything's going to be on us. Like we lost our discount at where we were staying. There were so many benefits to where we were living and him working there. So I can understand why it hit him so hard and made him feel like, he was being a failure, and how that could make him go into a depression and feel the way that he was feeling. But, that contributed a lot to my decision of feeling like we needed to come back to a place of comfort, because he was out of his comfort zone the entire time. And I'll be completely honest. And I will admit that maybe I was a little selfish with the decision to move because I wasn't happy here. And regardless to if I was happy here, he was comfortable, he was happy, he was satisfied, and I didn't look at what we could do to compromise. And so I thought about those things when I saw him taking it so hard that he felt like it was a bad thing that we had to send our kids away in order to get ourselves together. Which to me, I don't feel like it was a bad thing, because one, they went off with family. It's not like we sent them off with strangers. This was my sister that I've known my entire life. It's not like this was a legit sister, not a friend. This is biologically my sister, and they know her. It wasn't like because we had been gone for 3 years that they knew her. They knew who she was. They were excited to be with her. They were excited to see her. They couldn't wait to get there. They didn't want to come back when they got there. So we knew that our kids were okay. But, he felt like that shouldn't have been the case. We moved out there, that we should have been able to take care of them no matter what. And it's not that we couldn't. We just felt that it would be easier and better for them if they weren't there while we went through the struggle of getting back on our feet. So, I saw him going through that, and I decided, really, again, kind of selfishly, I decided that it was time for us to go back to something that he knew. I knew that he had been missing his mom. I knew that he had been missing comfort. I knew that he had been missing streets. And I know that sounds crazy, but he missed knowing where he was going. Even though we had been there for 3 years, you don't know that whole city in 3 years. 3 years is not enough time to know the city like the city you grew up in. Grand Rapids is where he lived all his life. And when I say that I should have made a compromise, the compromise is that something actually that we're working on doing now. And honestly, living here, It's not my favorite thing to be doing, but honestly, it is the best thing for our family. Things have been amazing since we got back here, and if you guys would like to hear about it, let me know down in the comment section, and I will happily make a video explaining how things have been so much different and so much better, and how we've had to adjust to get back here. But the compromise that we've made is that we're going to try to travel more, which I'm okay with, because I just don't want to feel like I'm stuck here in Michigan. But it's been a little hard for us to travel lately because of COVID. But outside of that, we really have been okay, and we've accepted our decision. And honestly, I don't see that us moving back here was a failure, because we were successful. We moved out there successfully. And we lived out there successfully for 3 years. And, you know, our circumstances changed. So we had to make a change for our lives, for our mental health, for our marriage, for our kids, for our well-being. You know, we had to do things not necessarily the way that we wanted to do them, but it had to be done. So that is the honest to God truth of why we decided to move back to Vegas. I know that people were wondering and wanting to know, and I kind of touched on it by telling you guys that my kids wanted to move back. They missed our family and stuff. And that is very true. That had a lot to do with the decision, because had they not wanted to move back here, I would have had to figure something else out, because honestly, my family comes first. You know, my husband and my kids' feelings about what we're doing and where we're going with life comes first before how I feel, even though I had made a very selfish decision to move out to Vegas in the first place. But outside of that, you know, I mean, I had to be a brat at some point. But, you know, I don't regret moving out there, and I don't regret my husband going through that either, putting him through that, because he's one of those people where you have to push them. You have to let them know that everything will be okay outside of your comfort zone. And he doesn't regret moving out there. He doesn't feel like it was a mistake to move out there, but he does feel like, he did feel like at that time that maybe we had made a mistake. And it's okay. You're going to get thoughts like that. And I think it's important that I mention that, because, you know, I know that a lot of the viewers who have been watching my Las Vegas videos are kind of looking up to or inspired by my story and our situation. And I think it's very important that I be honest with you guys about the struggles that we had. You know, it wasn't always easy for us. And I mean, I think I've made that clear that it wasn't always easy for us, even though we were doing okay. But I just wanted to be very clear right now that we went through some things. You know, our marriage went through some things. Our kids went through some things. You know, we experienced things that we had never experienced ever and never thought that we would. And some of it is private. Some of it will be shared if you guys are interested. But it doesn't mean that I regret our decision. It doesn't mean he regrets it. My kids actually talk about going back, and I hope to not move back, but, you know, visit again and kind of experience going back to somewhere that we lived before, you know. So I'm excited about that. But I just thought I'd share that. And I also wanted to let you guys know what is going to be going on with my channel. I don't know why I can't talk right now. But, so as you notice, I've been posting music, because music is my heart. That's like my number one. And I've been really, I don't know how to say it, insecure about putting my music out. I've been really hesitant with it, and I finally have found some courage and belief in myself. And I had to tell myself that if I don't do this, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it. And it's the honest to God truth, because I just turned 30, and no, 30 is not old, but you know, it's time to start taking things serious. It's time to start living out my dreams, and this is one of my dreams. You know, entertainment is so important to me. Yes, I would love for my YouTube channel to be my career, but if music could be my career, then that's what I'm gonna do. And so I'm gonna start posting more music, and I hope that you guys stay subscribed or subscribe because of my music, and or not because of my music, but to get to know me. I'm still going to do makeup videos because I just had so much fun doing this look. And if you guys are interested in seeing how I did it and knowing what products I used, I will link that video down in the description. I had so much fun doing this video. I hadn't put on makeup since my 30th birthday, which wasn't that long ago, but still, I had a blast. So makeup videos are still to come. Unfortunately, unless you guys request like a certain type of Las Vegas video, those are not going to be coming around much more. But yeah, I definitely am going to do videos just kind of chit-chatting and bringing you guys into who Latina Marie is, because I'm ready for that. Like, I've been struggling with allowing the world to see who I am and, you know, bring my personality to the camera. I think this is the most I've ever been like myself in front of this camera, and it feels good. Like, it feels like I'm just talking to a friend, which is what I wanted this channel to be in the first place. I never wanted it to be a cookie cutter, good, perfect, makeup like this type of channel, and it ended up turning into that. And surprisingly, people were enjoying those videos, but I watch them and I cringe and I want to cry and crawl into a hole. But you know, it's all a learning experience. So I'm happy that I did those videos, because I get to look back and be like, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're gonna be us. So yeah, I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too. And I know that I mentioned that I was kind of making some changes to my channel before, but things came up. But now I'm like in a groove, so just be prepared. Be prepared. I was watching that Black is King by Beyonce. I didn't watch the whole thing, but you know, it's like based on I think it's her soundtrack to The Lion King, so that song has been in my head all day, even though that song is not in it. But anyway, side note. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing how I got this look, again, I will link that down in the description. Make sure you go check that out. If you have any requests, questions, anything you'd like me to make a specific video about, whether it's Las Vegas, my move back here, about my music, anything, please feel free to leave your comments down in the comment section. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I love you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.